What's that freestyle?
Freestyle no more, bro.
Sunshine, are you playing? Spotlight from my heart. Sunshine, are you playing? Spotlight from my heart. Sunshine, are you playing?
What's good, y'all? Puncho, DK, Cancel Kings Live. We got our special guest, Robert. Do a quick video review. We got to get you like a rap name or something, man. You ready to knock this out, man? We're gonna do a quick video review, y'all, and just kind of talk generally about an issue that's affecting a lot of people. Dating is always a popular topic, especially for us as men of God, and just hoping to get some insights on what are some of the issues. And we got a cool video that kind of breaks it down a little bit. The author is Real Alex Clark. So we're going to just take some snippets out of this, fair use, and see what we can learn from it. Does any of this apply to us as men? You know, and hopefully there's something that we can learn from it, guys. Let's get it going. All right, let's rock.
If you're a single girl out here in these streets and you're thinking, am I crazy? Or are these guys like not even wanting to date and hook up, let alone get married?
Am I the problem?
Are we why these men don't want to get married? I have good news and bad news. The good news is you're not crazy. The bad news is it's worse than you thought. The very minimal amount of kingpin level good.
Do you think that there's a dating? Now she's coming at it from the perspective of like women can't find men, but do you think that's really the case, bro? Where women can't find men, or you think it's a bigger issue that men can't find good women?
I think it's a little bit of both. We know that the numbers, women, there are way more women than men anyway, so not all women are going to find a man. But it's to the point where some men, they figure like, you know what, I'd rather go by myself than deal with all the aspects of being in a relationship because expectations come and all that stuff come with that. And some people would just rather just go ahead and live their life and see what happens without those expectations being levied upon us.
Your mic is a little bit low, so tighten that up. I kind of agree with you, man. I don't know. I think it does go both ways. I think the women have blinders on what the average guy deals with whenever he's dating, and I conversely think that men have a pretty good narrative of what they're dealing with women, but they're still flawed. Excuse me. But overall, I think there's a bit of an issue when it comes to dating in general, and we come from the men's perspective, so that gives us a little bit of a bias that we can work with. But that being the case, it's like I think that there are a lot of decent women out there, you know, whether they're in church or just, you know, good women in general. I think one of the issues that we find though is, and you correct me if I'm wrong here, these so-called good women are also standing right beside dressing like, listening to the same music, and contributing to the culture of the low value ratchet women that are out there. What do you think?
I don't agree with that. I think that some of the good women are actually in the house. They don't go nowhere. They don't do
Hmm.
anything. They just stay in the house. They don't want to be out there in the world with all that extra craziness. And it sometimes be safe to just to stay in the house and stay out the way.
Hmm. Your mic's a
Yeah.
little low, bro. But yeah, I think that is true. How many women do you think that men interact with on general are like that? You think it's 30% of women that are in the house just hidden and they don't contribute to this crazy culture, or you think it's 50%? What do you think?
Hold on, take my earphones out. Hold on.
Hmm. And while he's doing that, make sure you guys like, you share, you subscribe to Cancel Kings. We're the only people out here that are talking about things that men of God are concerned about. So we got to get this message out, and we want this to be a very unique message. So this is Overtime, one of our formats here, where we talk about those issues outside of our regular Bible study that we have usually once a week. And we kind of get a little bit, let our hair down a little bit and talk about some more controversial issues. So, what do you think, man?
I had to take my earbuds out, so I missed a little bit of a piece of that. But like I
I'm
said,
DK, Mr. DK, or one other.
Keep going. I'm sorry. DK's calling me. He wants to get in.
okay.
DK, we got you live on Cancel Kings by the phone, man. What's up?
Oh, what's good with you, man?
You gonna jump on live with us or what?
Oh man, I thought, hey, you talking about right now? I'm still at work, but here I come now.
Yeah.
Hold
We'll catch you, man. We'll see you in a little bit.
on.
Yeah. Go ahead, bro. Sorry for that.
But like I said, I think it's maybe 20%, 30% to staying in the house. Is my mic better right now?
This sounds a little better. Yeah.
Okay, I think it's like 20%, 30% to stay in the house, man. Because I actually out there in the world, man, it's scary. It's
What do
scary
you
for
mean?
no matter what it is you're looking for. If you're looking for a man looking for a woman looking for a man, going out in the world it's scary, man. People out in the world they're different and they're scared.
Well, you kind of grew up in a different generation. I don't want to show you cards, but a time when you had to learn how to talk to women. You had to have social skills. Do you think that that's affecting women and men the same, like the lack of social skills and all this other stuff?
As a whole, social skills no longer play a part in it at all on either side
Really?
because both sides are lacking interpersonal skills. Both sides are lacking that.
That, that's
If you
that's
grew
that's a
up
good observation. I want to put a pin in that. Go ahead.
if you grew up in our generation where we had to talk to each other, we had to interact with each other, we developed those soft skills. But in
Hmm.
today's world, they don't have to develop those soft skills. So they don't have it. So say you're a man from our generation, you want to go down and talk to somebody from a lower generation, it's going to be a gap there because they don't have the interpersonal skills, those soft skills to come back and
Dude,
talk to
those
you.
kids are weird.
Weird as hell.
They're weird. You see, they don't they don't have the communication skills to be able to talk to you. You'll sit there and have a conversation. They like to text. You conversate with a lot of the younger people via text, and they just disappear. And they don't have. Maybe I'm being a little bit biased here, but it seems like they don't have the common decency to reconnect. Like everything is virtual and everything is optional, and the ghosting mentality. And I'm not talking about dating. I'm talking about family members, dude. You talk to like a younger person in the family, you connecting with them, and you like, hey, how you doing? How's everything going? And then they just disappear on you for like a year.
It's
You get what I'm saying?
it's easier for them to do that. That's why they like it. That's why they like it like that because they're not held to the fire of having to communicate back and forth with you. Like
Hmm.
if I don't like what you're saying, I don't want to talk to you right now. All I can do is just not respond.
Is that now? I'm a little bit tougher on family, but I can see that as a person you just meet in the street. But a family, like you gonna do that to a family member, is
Right
weird.
right now, family in our day meant a lot different than family does in their books now.
Hmm.
It means that you're my family. I have to deal with you. There, no matter who you are, if I don't want to deal with you, I'm not gonna deal with you.
Interesting. DK, we're talking about just the difference. We're talking about the dating issues that are going on with single people, but in this particular portion here, we're talking about how the communication is totally different. People aren't even communicating the same like they used to. and especially with the younger generation. All this compounds to them having a more difficult time connecting with other people, especially in a relationship situation. Now, you deal a lot with people, DK, from different environments that are younger people, whether they're a parent or whatever the case may be. Do you think that they have different communication skills than generations have passed?
Yeah, I think in general, it's just like basically when it comes to especially like in person communication, is almost non-existent, right?
Really?
um yeah, it's like the communication is all through cyber, you know what I mean? And then that's how you build a relationship. It seems like now a lot of people that I see their relationships that's good or not good, it seems like it doesn't matter. It all seems like it started cyber. I look at my son, they meet all these girls, and most of them they meet them before they see them, you know what I mean? And
Well,
then they
say
end
that
up
again.
hooking
They
up.
do what?
They meet them before they see them, you know what I mean? Like they have, whether it's like, I don't know, what do they got like these group calls that they get on. It's weird, bro. So they go on these group calls, and then the girls or the guys, they pick who they like, from the conversation on the phone.
They see
And then
pictures of them.
yeah, they do the pictures, and then they exchange numbers, and then they hook up after that, like to the movies or whatever. But that's how it starts, you know what I mean? Now
That has
still,
potential, though. That has potential, right?
yeah, I mean, it's just different from our day. From our day, there was no meeting people on the internet. You had to go to the football game. You had to go to school. You had to go, to the mall. You know what I mean? But like these days, I don't know about the malls where you guys are at. Like most of the malls here, like we used to just go there to hang out as kids. They're
Yeah.
like ghost town. They're like ghost towns.
Malls
You know
are
what I mean? Like,
malls are a part of the Stone Age now, bro.
yeah,
They're gone.
yeah. Yeah, but you figure, but back in the day, we would go to the mall with no money to walk around to meet people.
We might go to the arcade, right?
Yeah,
Uh, let's jump back into the video, guys.
Men, the ones that are actually husband material, are almost certainly already married, about to be, or here's your very grim reality check, rotting
Fair
away
use.
to near extinction.
There goes our last meal.
Oh my god, I hate Alex Clark. She's so dramatic.
Am I?
Is it me? Am I the drama? I don't think I'm the drama. Maybe I am.
Turns out the large majority of men 18 to 30 years old are single by choice.
hey, Punch, are you on mute? I can't hear you.
Well, I was saying this is what Rob was saying. 60% of the people of people nowadays are 60%, 63% of men are single, and that being the case. I really want to throw that question to Rob because he brought this up earlier. A lot of these guys are just not dating. That being the case, do you think it was this high when we were young in our 20s? Were 63% of us single and not even having sexual relationships? Even whatever that means.
Back in our day, that wasn't even the case.
Wow.
That wasn't the case at all, because we were
Hmm.
more engaged with people just on a more personal basis. These kids are not doing the same thing. They're not following the same suit, so their numbers are not going to be the same as ours because we relied on interpersonal communication and interaction with people to get by a day-to-day basis.
Hmm.
They don't rely on that, so they can
Now,
go without.
Hey, hey, well, quick question. Do you, but when we say single, right? So think about, you, Punch, in your 20s doing the Air Force days, I don't remember you having, per se, like a girlfriend. Would you say that I know you had, girls that you messed with, but wouldn't you still consider yourself single if somebody else came? It wasn't like you had like a steady girlfriend.
I'm ashamed to admit this, especially as a Christian man, but back then there was a lot of jump offs. In
Right.
many cases, when when we were dating, it was a lot of jump offs. So I look at that information where it says 63% of men in their 20s are single. That's why I'm asking, was it as bad as we are saying it is then now as it is then? Because I think the big difference is, DK,
Hmm.
and I know this is a little bit controversial, but we had physical and sexual access to women. I don't think a lot of these guys have sexual and physical access to women. I think a lot of them, like it says in the article here, they don't know how to necessarily identify and be more masculine. I think that they're struggling when it comes down to porn addiction. You can go to a porno. You can watch a porno, for example, and you can Frankenstein together in your mind the perfect woman, and she'll service you like you want to every night. This is a very difficult thing for Christian men to deal with. And it also lowers that testosterone and that drive to go out and hunt your own meat. Pause. But at the same time, what I'm trying to say is these guys may not have as much of an incentive to go out there and find a girl because the porn is so accessible. The traditional masculine roles are less clear, and also, of course, COVID was a death sentence for men going out and being in public because they realized they can just sit around and watch porn and do whatever they want to do. What are your thoughts on that, Rob? And then we'll pass it to DK.
I think it is with the porn situation that goes into a whole other aspect of everything.
It goes to a whole nother what?
Another aspect of everything, man. If that's what you're relying on to get your personal skills and get your rocks off, that speaks to a whole different set of that speaks to a whole different set of problems right there.
It's an issue, and we've all struggled with pornography. I know I'm not perfect, but I can see a young man who has never even had a girlfriend, let alone a 20-minute conversation with a woman of the opposite sex, probably between the ages of 16 and 24. Pornography may be a big part of his life.
And, yeah, and you 100% right with that, but that falls into the big problem of it. They want to make sure that some way somehow that we don't want to even communicate with each other, and that's another thing by just throwing something in there like porn, like social media, that makes it easier for us to detract and get away from each other and get more hooked onto these screens and this media.
And that's the big question. Is this something that's a conspiracy from big companies that are trying to keep us apart? Or is it just the big companies found out a very efficient way to tap into human emotions and feelings, and it's having a negative repercussion on the other end of that? Thoughts on that, DK, before we continue with the video? All right, moving on.
Choice. You're not crazy after all. Don't believe me? A new Pew Research study found that 63% of men don't want to pursue any sort of relationship with women. That means serious or casual. They
Now, see, listen to that.
feel
That's
no
totally different.
motivation
She's
to
talking
leave their
about 63% of men don't want to pursue any kind of relationship, serious or casual. That's a different statistic right there. That's kind of confirming our concerns from previous times or previous in the conversation. What a mess, right?
It's not a mess. Like I said earlier, before DK got on, a lot of men are just would rather just stay by themselves in order to stay away from these crazy expectations that are levied upon us by some of these females out here, man. Like sometimes when you look at the expectations that they have, and they're not even willing to be accountable for what they put in front of themselves, put you on a whole different aspect of everything. And it's like you're looking at, you expect me to do this, and you couldn't even do this for yourself.
I think we mentioned it before. One of the biggest frustrations that men tend to have is we're going into the dating arena, and women have an idea of what we're supposed to be doing. That's circa 1950. What my grandfather was doing, what my stepdaddy was doing, and what men were doing in the 1950s. That's what you need to be doing for me right now. That's what the women are saying. That's being a provider, protector, problem solver. And if you're Christian or spiritual, that's a prophet and a priest, right? That's a lot, right? But then men are saying, okay, if I'm going to be in that situation and you want the best and traditional version of me, then I need you to be sweet, submissive, focus on wellness and health, effeminate, hold men in high esteem, and also temples of the Holy Spirit. And it would seem like the women are saying, no, 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 this is a new age. We want to be something different. We don't want to be slaves anymore in the kitchen, barefoot and pregnant. And
What do you mean by that?
well, we still want you to be as women, as men rather. We still want you to be the same guy, Uncle Cleophas was back in 1934. What am I missing with that, DK?
I mean, all I'm saying is, I mean, I agree with you, but I think there's more of a middle ground somewhere both ways. You know what I mean? I don't think that either party can have. I don't think a traditional man can be as traditional as we might have been brought up as traditional men. Just the
But
way
women aren't willing to
society.
date us if we're not providers, protectors, and problem solvers. Like we're bum if we don't have
No,
those
but
basics.
no, but they're willing to date you if you're not a prophet or a priest.
True. Maybe they don't. Yeah, that's true.
You know what I mean? So they don't want the whole package. They want the things that are, important to them. You know what I mean? But a true traditional man will have all those aspects, but that's not what they're looking for. They're only looking for the pieces that they need in
Mm,
their life at that time.
mm.
But DK, can I ask you a question real quick?
Yeah, I'm listening.
Can you expect to put your hand in the fire and not get burnt?
Of course not. Of course not. I
So
mean,
so these women, they expect us to be who we are, but they don't expect them to be who they are traditionally.
yeah, but that's what I'm saying is that
It
I
don't
don't
make
a
sense.
lot. Yeah, but what I'm saying is I don't think a lot of women really want a true traditional man in the aspect that that we're
Okay.
talking about. You know what I mean? They do want a protector. They do want a provider. They do want a problem solver. But the two main parts that really makes a true traditional man is that prophet and priest, and they're not looking for that because what that comes is accountability. The other parts is just a service to them. The other two are
Mm.
accountability they gotta hold on to.
Yeah. I kind of see where you're taking it, DK, and I see your perspective too, Rob. I think what DK is saying overall is women are expecting an avatar of what men are, not who men truly are, but an avatar, and they're like saying, "Hey, I need you to do all these things. You need to pay my rent. You need to be able to lead me, but only where I want to go." And there's all these caveats that are thrown in there when it comes down to what men are doing. And then conversely, maybe what Rob is saying, and I know I'm definitely saying, the men aren't getting any of these things from women. They're not getting women who are submissive, women who are, hold men in high esteem. We're not getting necessarily all those things from the women in our communities. And as I said before, there may be Christian women in our communities. I think by and large, not all, but by and large, most of these women are sitting and standing too close to the women who are low value because our women are still listening to the ratchet music. They're still contributing to the culture. They're still laughing and kikiing at all the videos of women taking advantage of men. They're still listening to Kiki Palmer and all the craziness she's talking about in Sexy Red. Our women are still Christian women are still sitting in an environment where they may claim a certain kind of mentality, but they're so close you can't tell the difference. You know, what am I missing with that, Rob?
Yeah, give me a second. I'm moving around. Give me a second.
All right, let's throw the video back on and see what we got on this.
Their house, period. You know things are bad when guys think a booty call is too much work. The evidence points to some very specific problems. I've seen multiple conservative commentators speculate about what they think is the root of this shift. And no surprise, they're wrong.
Fair
Let me tell you
use.
something about 99% of female commentators on the right who talk about dating, culture, and relationships. Hardly any of them have had significant real-world experience with dating, culture, and relationships.
This is a big issue in the church. First of all, like she said, the women in traditional circles don't have a lot of experience in modern dating. They were married 10 years, 10 years ago. And I've said this to DK all the time. God bless you, DK. But I think that the ground has shifted from underneath what dating was back from 2007 or 2009. And a lot of the women that are supposed to be mentoring our young ladies, our nieces, our cousins to help them prepare to be better women, they have no idea of what is really going on. And I think that's a bit of a detriment. And I think that there's not much guidance for young women nowadays as far as what they should be doing. So they're getting a lot of their talking points from social media. You know, what am I missing in that, guys? Both my guys are doing their own thing right now. Moving on with the video. Let's see what we got next, guys.
They think they're too highbrow for dating apps.
You're disgusting, and I hate you.
They marry the first or second guy they've made eye contact with, and their understanding on what it's actually like out here is, hate to say it, no I don't, derived from trad wife Twitter accounts secretly run by gay men trying to catfish straight ones. I know why men have lost all incentive to pursue any type of companionship with anyone with a heartbeat. And I think we should all be very perturbed
Let's see if
about
she
what
mentions
this
any
means
of
for
our
future
issues
generations.
as
And
men.
no, the answer is a lot more layered than just porn is bad. Today, women are smarter. We're graduating college at higher rates than guys. And I know women don't like to admit it, but we are, by and large, making more money. Okay, I'm sorry I'm not poor. We spent half a century telling men that the future was female and that
I think she's getting around to the fact that women are doing more, and that's creating less space for men to have an impact in their lives. Are men, this is for either one of you guys, do you feel that men are insecure because they can have less of an impact on a woman's life in modern times? And maybe that's one of the reasons why women aren't choosing these men who aren't performing?
Point where we can provide less and we're insecure about it. It's just not that. It's just that sometimes I don't think they 100% want to follow us like that.
Well, why should a woman, and this is an interesting dynamic, why should a woman follow a man when she's making the same amount as him, when she's doing part of his masculine duties, which is, of course, providing? If she is able to provide for herself, why should she be so willing to submit and follow him? Think about it.
Because sometimes women direction and their where they want to go is paid, and emotions is not a full foundation for a road, let alone a house.
Whoa.
Or anything like
Emotional, damn it.
So, Rob, are you prepared to say that women?
paving the road.
So, Rob, are you prepared to say that women, whenever they are not under a man's authority, they act like children and they can't make proper decisions? Is that what you're saying?
Their decisions are based off of emotions.
Ooh.
And that's facts.
Ooh.
No matter which way you cut it, they emotions. And if you want to follow somebody on a sturdy path, emotions are never stable, never sturdy. So if
you're
somebody's
saying,
paving the road or direction on route.
So you're saying, go ahead, DK.
Oh, no, real quick. I'm sorry. My grandma had called, but I just got right back on. But what I wanted to tell y'all is that I think this is the thing. It's about every woman and every man is different, right? So it's all about who you choose, right? So the thing is, you just at the end of the day, you just gotta find the right person, because you can find whoever that person that you're looking for, you can find them. They're definitely out there, especially for men, because we know there's a lot more women than there is men. So for men, if you take your time, you do your vetting, you do your searching, you're going to be able to find that person you're looking for. You know what I mean? And that's the bottom line. I think that whether if it's 90% bad or 90% good, that it's all up to you to find that person that's good for you.
But DK, how does that accommodate for what we mentioned earlier? There are a lot of good women out there, but they may not. They may be raging feminists, even in the church, or they may be standing very closely to, the Cardi B and the Sexy Red. Our women, a lot of our good women really believe and think like a lot of these women who are low value. And like I said, I don't know if it's the media, but how do we deal with that? And I know DK has the idea that if we just keep mining, we'll find a diamond. But Pooh, do you think that there's diamonds out there, or are there more cubic zirconias? Rob, I think Rob is like building you know, he's digging the China or something over here. What's going on? But nonetheless, let's go ahead and continue with the video. Unless you wanted to add anything else to that, DK.
No. I mean, there might be a lot of cubic zirconians. Maybe it's more cubic zirconians, but at the end of the day, I think there's more diamonds than there is miners.
Really? You think there's more good women than there are good men? Do you believe that there's more good women than there are good men?
No, I believe that there's more good women out there for the ones who are searching for them.
That's a you
I,
twisting yourself
think
like a
about it.
pretzel on that one.
No, but think about it. Everybody ain't searching for a good woman. Somebody will just take anything. And somebody will be willing to
True.
compromise. But those men who are willing to diligently seek and find that person that's right for them, I believe
Mm-hmm.
they can find them. You know what I mean? I just look at you. Yeah, but you it seems like you done found someone, but guess what? You put in the work. You didn't settle. You didn't. No matter how good they look or how much you wanted, a relationship, you wanted what you wanted, and you end up so far. At least it seems like maybe you found what you wanted because you didn't settle. But how many men would have settled, for 3 or 4 girls that you met already, or how many times back in the day might have you had settled for them? You know what I mean?
You saying as men and the men that she's talking to and talking about in this video, they just got to keep mining. That's what you're saying?
I'm just saying it seemed like it worked for you. I think it worked for me. I just say the people I know who didn't just settle on Waukesha, you know what I
Yeah.
mean, end up being okay. You know what I mean? End up finding that person, that was for them.
And
And
I
I
think it
just think
boils down to I think it boils down to the dating pool. Is the dating pool full of pee? Is it a problem? Let's jump into the conversation that she's having and go from there. All right, here's the video, guys.
Women allegedly didn't need to rely on men for anything.
We couldn't have credit cards, couldn't own property, couldn't vote, had no voice. Well, of course we'd partner up with a man because we needed one so that we didn't starve to death.
There's that need, right? As men, once there's no need for us, and from some women's perspective, we created a tough system for women to be a part of anyway, and they needed us because we were, patriarchal cavemen. But the idea is that now that they don't need us, the standards that women have are even higher.
We don't need men. So if it comes to being in a relationship, it's a matter of bringing something to the table. And if what you're bringing to the table is a toddler-like mentality where you are expecting a mommy and expecting some kind of subordinate, concubine kind of setup, no woman wants that.
Naturally, men started to harbor this sense of hopelessness where it felt like I'm never going to be able to meet women's increasingly high standards and expectations anyway. So the
Question for you guys. I want you to think about this. What is the craziest expectation or standard that a woman has had for you while you were dating? What is the craziest?
She wanted me to make me to make 6 figures as an A1C.
So she wanted you to make 6 figures in an entry level position. What were you making at that time? How
20.
much?
20.
So she wanted you to make. How old were you at the time?
I was 24.
She expected a 24-year-old man with a career at that to be able to make 6 figures.
Yeah, because she happened to be a doctor, so yeah.
Wow. That's definitely an unrealistic expectation. And I think that a lot of women don't understand because they're watching a lot of TV and social media that it takes men a long time to be valuable, especially materialistically valuable. It takes a long time for us to get to that point where we're at that 6-figure level. You're at it. DK's at it. According to my tax return, I may be at it, right? So I don't think women understand that it takes a while for men to get to that point. DK, if you can go through the archives, what's one of the craziest expectations that a woman had of you?
I just think, maybe it's just me and you. Being younger, you can't hang out with your friends, stuff like that. You know what I mean? Just I'm like, we ain't married. You know what I mean? If I was, that's just to me that's an unrealistical expectation. You know what I mean?
Mm,
Especially being 22, 23.
yeah. I've seen a lot of crazy. I think one of the biggest issues that I think I run into is it's not necessarily expectations, but it's implied. I'll date women who are doctors, who are lawyers, who are dentists. And don't tell a dentist she's not a doctor. But at the same time, they have the expectation that they're going to work and they're going to do whatever they're doing, you know, 12, 14-hour shifts every day, maybe except for Sunday. And somehow they're going to have time for you. And it's a little different from what you guys were saying about expectations. But for me, that expectation is I'm going to have to be the woman in that relationship. You're getting off at 9 o'clock at night, 7 o'clock at night. I better have dinner ready. I better have the house clean. And to me, that's not what I'm signing up for. The word of God says that women were made for the benefit of men. And that is so unpopular. But it's true. Women were made for the benefit of man. So I'm in a situation where I'm dating these successful women, but they don't have any maternalistic skills. They don't have any skills when it comes to being feminine. They don't have any relationship skills because they're too busy focusing on their jobs to even learn how to develop those skills. So,
Well, Punch, can I ask you this? So tell me this: what if, say, she makes high six figures, right?
mhm.
And you are, hey, maybe y'all got together and she didn't. She gets offered a crazy job that offers 400,000. You only make 80, right? Do you think that's a benefit? Could that end up being and then you guys are married? Could that end up being a beneficial thing where hey, you're making, they'll offer you four times, and maybe I have to change my role in the sense of how I work, but she's like, hey, but I'm giving you all the money and you manage it and do all that. Would you be against that?
I wouldn't be against that scenario, but that scenario is unlikely to happen. I think that most women, when they make more money than men, they tend to lose respect for men
Yeah.
because that's a role that men are supposed to play, providers. I think that once you put most women, not all, but once you put most women in a scenario where they're making more money than their husband, their boyfriend, they begin to resent him. I sincerely believe that. So for most men, I would say, y- it, this is cancel kings, right? If you're in a situation and your girl is making more than you, there may be an expiration date coming up very soon on that relationship because she expects you to make more than her. And if you don't, subconsciously, she's going to think that you're not doing as well. You're sitting at home taking care of the kids and she's working, or you're taking care of the house or a live in parent and she's at work doing the same thing a woman would do. But women, they have a very difficult time accepting and having patience for a man that's not working as hard or harder than them, especially when it comes to financial resources. So yeah, I would love that scenario if a woman's making. I would have dated and been with these doctors, lawyers, and whatever, even to this day. But I noticed real quick that first of all, they don't have time for me and my purpose. I would have to take on a more feminine role to support their purpose. Have you been through a situation like that before, Rob?
No, I haven't. Like I said, when I was married before, my ex-wife made substantially more than me, but I
Mhm.
still had to do what I had to do out there in the house as a man. There
Did you?
was no expectations of me to do what she told me she was going to do from jump, like the things that we expect women to do traditionally. So for me, my previous marriage, that wasn't a problem.
So do you feel like she had less respect for you, or you were one of those anomalies?
Might have been one of those anomalies because her
Mm.
money it didn't matter because yeah, you know who I am, you know what I am.
Now, this is the final
Yeah,
question.
Punch.
Hold
Real
on, hold
quick.
on. This right here is the final question, though. who is responsible for paying the bulk of the bills? You or her?
Me being in the military in that aspect, I'm giving money to pay certain bills.
And there we go.
If I'm giving that certain money to pay certain bills, I'm gonna use that money to pay certain bills.
Now, hold on. I didn't say certain bills. I didn't say just a light bill. Like Tyler Perry was saying, black men may not only be able to afford to pay the light bill. I'm talking about the bulk of the bills. Were you paying the mortgage and the car note, or were you paying the heavy lifting bills?
All the rent and everything my BAH and BAS could pay, I paid that.
That's what I'm talking about. Women are not interested in dealing with men if they cannot pay for the lion's share of bills. What you got, DK? I think DK is getting pulled over by the police. We'll get back with him. But you see what I'm getting at though? Like if men aren't providing to some extent and taking care of those big bills, women are not really interested in those kind of relationships by and large. Does that make sense, Rob?
It seems right, but I haven't been put in a situation where I seen that play out.
You seen what play out though, where women were willing to accept the man who wasn't paying the lion's share, or they were?
I know one of my friends. He stays at home. His wife is the chief.
Mm-hmm.
He stays at home and he still runs everything in the house.
That's good. That's very rare.
They had an understanding because they came in and they said whoever makes E7 first, the other person get out. They had that understanding from when they was baby airmen.
Now, do you think that kind of a scenario is the exception or the rule?
It should be the rule. I think it's, in today's society, it's the exception. But they were together. They were both together when neither one of them had anything.
Now, the first thing
situation. If you come into a situation and one person is already 10 steps ahead of you, I can see that being a problem. But if y'all both came up from the ground, I don't think that'd be a problem.
Now, the first thing many women will say is, well, we can't do that as women because men's ego won't allow them to be with a woman that makes more money than them because their ego will get bruised. What are your thoughts on that, DK and Rob?
DK, you got it. I guess
DK is taking the trash out. Let's continue with the question with the video here. Unless you want to answer real quick, Rob.
Oh yeah, with me, only problem is with a man's ego and the girl making more than him when he has insecurities. That's his insecurities. It's like Cat Williams said, self-esteem is esteem of yourself. You got to fix that yourself.
There we go. Yeah. All right, let's continue. See what else she says on here. Why are Gen Zs no longer dating?
First shoe to drop was men thinking it's acceptable to get complacent. If women are doing all this work, why should I? Now, for a little while, that was fun for the men because we're climbing the ladder ourselves. We're screaming, we can do bad all by myself.
Do you have a problem with that? No, I just my grandmother's 90th birthday, so
Fair
I'm
use.
just gonna go home and it's fine. I'll cancel.
So the men are like, okay, bet. They begin to lose that motivation to achieve and be a provider for a purpose bigger than themselves.
Why are you single? I have kind of given up on trying to put in the effort.
A man's instinct to be a hero and to achieve is tied directly to how men show their love. Since the beginning of time.
Any comments on that, guys?
I really didn't have no comments for that, no.
Mm-hmm.
Men have hunted and women were the gatherers and helpers. We switched this up as women and insisted that we can hunt instead, leaving men feeling confused and purposeless.
This is what we were talking about before. Men are just a bunch of insecure babies because, the women can do these things on their own now. And that provision element has been taken out. That problem-solving element has been taken out of what a man is, and it's creating men who don't see a need to problem solve or protect or to provide. What are your thoughts on that? Do you think that women getting better makes men worse, Rob? Do you think is that the case?
No, you can never take the primal instinct from a man, no matter how long he's been out the game, unless he just really wants to get rid of that instinct itself.
Now hold on now. We just talked about all these young guys who don't know their left hand from their right, and they ain't got no ambition at all, even to talk to a woman that's sitting next to him in a cubicle.
Young guys, yeah, you're right. Young guys, they didn't have the instinct from the beginning. So yeah, for them it can be lost because they don't have it from the beginning. So for them, there's this is 100% is right for them because they feel like they're worthless. They feel like they're useless because they don't know what to do. They don't know how to do it, and if they don't know how to do it, they don't know how to make other ways to make themselves relevant in the situation.
Interesting. Yeah, I think there is a big problem with not just younger guys, but a lot of men nowadays. They really don't know their place in society. They've been told that being a man is bad. Men should aspire to be heroes. They should be risk takers. They should be ambitious, and they should be industrious. And nowadays in modern society, men are to a large extent shamed for being like that, being competitive, even as a man. Even me and you, we compete on a subconscious level on many things. And the same thing with DK. But we've kind of gotten to a point where we've told men that those attributes that define us as men are toxic. So a lot of men are saying, I don't want to be the bad guy. And that typically turns into that guy living in his mom's basement, playing PlayStation all day. And then the women complain about that. So it's kind of like for men, we really got to do what our heart tells us to do as far as masculinity, and not let the world dictate that. In my opinion, what are your thoughts before we continue the video?
My thing is for men, you gotta trust the process that led our fathers and our grandfathers be where they are now.
Mm-hmm.
They were. It was a process back then. You gotta trust the process if you were taking that process or not. Most of us were. We had older men in our lives that taught us the ways and how to do stuff. We gotta trust that process. Remember those things they taught us. Now we can break it down and teach it to the younger guys and give them as much as we can, but their heads are sometimes somewhere else. But our men our age, we have been around and we have seen stronger older men and seen how they act. We have an example whether we like to see it or say it or not. We had examples of people not to be exactly the opposite of those. So we know what to do and what not to do. It's just if we're going to do it or not.
Well, that's interesting you brought that up because I think about one of my uncles when I was growing up. My auntie, she had already had children. She had a child, and my uncle came into the family, took care of that kid as if it were his own. They had a child together later on. My auntie and my uncle, of course. And back then, you see shows like 227. I'm dating myself. I'm gonna lie about my age in another podcast. Don't worry. But you see shows like 227 or other shows like Family Matters where the dad is visible in that family and he leads that family. He's not a fool all the time. And I look at my uncles back then, and it was honorable to come in and take over a broken family. Do you think there is a lot of honor in being a stepfather nowadays and taking over an imperfect situation? And
It can be.
would you want your son to be one of those guys?
It can be if you need be, but if you don't have to be, don't do it.
But is it popular socially now for a man to be a stepdaddy?
No.
Hmm.
No.
Interesting.
Of a stepdad of a kid that's like little kid, maybe like 4 and 5 and under, maybe. A stepdad of a kid that's 10 and up, no. You have no
There
shot.
there are so many women out here that have children. Most of women in the black community, I think 75% have children out of wedlock. And how are we going to square that circle to get these women married off and to start new families if socially it's unacceptable to be a stepfather?
Numbers make that not possible anyway, Punch. It's not possible because you can't, every woman, if you took every man out of prison and turned every man that's gay straight, it still wouldn't be enough men for women. So everybody don't have a choice, the shot of having a man in their life. So you can't, every situation can't be helped. But the men that are there, the men that are available, if he wanted to go into a situation and try to fix a broken family, if he has the time for it and he has the mental fortitude for it, knock yourself out. But like I said, it's an age range with kids, and I say it's 5 and under, knock yourself out. Go ahead and take on that train. 10 and up, you don't want that.
Have you ever been in a situation where you found yourself at the end of a long distance relationship, potential long distance relationship, but there's a child there? And how would you handle that if you were?
You know my situation, Punch. Come on, man.
What are you saying, Rob? We don't even know each other. You're just a guest on my show.
Come on, man. You know I'm that whole question you just asked. You know, come on, man.
That doesn't make sense.
That's very interesting. It's a very tough situation. I don't know. We have so many of our women in the Black community and communities in general, because this is a growing phenomenon with childless, with fatherless families. And I think that after talking to so many women on this podcast and otherwise, they really feel that it's just our job to step up and take responsibility. As a matter of fact, we may not even be men if we don't have the guts to step up, especially as Christian men, and take care of another man's child. And from what you're saying is that that's totally unfair to put that on a man. Interesting. All right. Let's continue, guys.
In an act that drives men further into disorientation, women have chosen to blur the line between masculine and feminine energies. Recognizing the different roles men and women were biologically hardwired to play does not mean that women must surrender our equality. It just means that men are motivated by the opportunity to show themselves as competitive, daring, adventurous, courageous, and achieving. But we have made them feel.
Hey, didn't I just say that in so many words? Men still want to be superheroes, and not so easy nowadays where we're effeminizing men.
Like these traits are no longer valued because women have chosen to demonstrate those traits ourselves. Instead, women should be secure enough to both praise men for these traits while knowing how to soften into our true feminine essence, which creates balance and peace needed for a healthy relationship. Women should embrace our traditionally feminine traits that can perfectly complement those of men. Nurturance, sensitivity, sweetness, supportiveness, gentleness, warmth, expressiveness, empathy, affection, and tenderness.
Do you feel that most of the women that you've dated in the last, in your dating experiences, not including current situations if you're in a relationship, but do you think this is the common experience that men have, Rob, when they go into the dating market?
When I was in the dating world, yes.
So most men are getting supportiveness, they're getting sweetness, they're getting affection, gentleness, and tenderness and warmth from women.
From when I was seriously dating somebody, I got that.
That's good. That's good to hear. What happens when a man gets all that? Is he more likely to commit? And why didn't you if you had a chance?
Because they wasn't the right person for me. Just because they're all those things don't mean their inner circle, their inner person is right for me.
What were they missing?
It was just you can have all that, but if you're not meant to be with each other, you're not meant to be with each other.
Is that mysticism? Like, what do you mean by that?
What I mean by that is, we've been in the military, but we deploy, we PCS, we do different things like that. And most women I ever dated or ever serious about, they were all civilians. They were stuck where they're at. They're staying where they're at. They weren't all in bad places. They were in actually great places, but moving around wasn't the thing they were what they wanted to do. So that when you add in, put all that stuff together and add in being a military wife, that kills a lot of people right there.
Well, we were just talking about being in this diagram on the actual screen here. It talks about supportiveness and nurturance. How can you say that women had all this if they weren't able to support you during your career? And going back to the writings of Paul and Peter, the Bible says that women are there for men. So how can you say they're these things when they weren't able to be these things for you?
Everybody can support military lifestyle. It's not possible. Everybody's not in the military. It's like less than 1% is in the military. So that means that less than like 20% of that is married. So do those numbers. Far less than 1% of women can actually deal with being a military spouse. Everybody can't deal with that.
So you're saying that there are degrees and there's grades to the women that are out there.
When it comes to military, yes.
Ooh. You'd imagine that this is one of the most important kind of men to support in our society. And for you to say that most of them were not able to support you the way that you needed to is pretty sad. Interesting. Anything else you want to add to that?
No, I'm good.
Continuing.
I'd like to think that I'm a fair and nuanced person. I believe that I am capable of seeing both sides in pretty much anything. And another cultural thorn that women need to take some responsibility for is that we've decided as a gender that personal development is apparently a non-issue. Most of us have a God complex that is being fueled by toxic therapy culture, which is ironically making us worse, not better. Young women have been brainwashed into thinking that we're perfect exactly the way we are, no matter how fat, lazy, mentally ill that could be.
Do you think that women have a problem taking accountability?
For certain things, yes.
Why do you think women can't take accountability on certain things in their life?
Because it goes back to the emotional stuff, emotional aspect of their being. When you look at taking accountability, that means that's a firm step right there.
It has to be firm. It has to be. You have to self-analyze, and you have to look at some logic sometimes too, right?
Yeah, in order to be accountable, self-accountability. Yes, you have to.
Interesting.
It can't be flip-flop. It can't be here one day and here the next day. It got to be what that brick says. And where that brick is at, that's what that brick is gonna be. That's where the buck stop at right there. That brick. And if I go past that brick, I'm going off of my own thing. That brick gonna still be there.
You've led people in wartime and peace. Do you think that accountability is something that just women lack, or is it men, or is it more men or more women?
In today's world, it's everybody.
So the men have just as many issues with accountability as the women.
Yeah.
Interesting.
In the military in the military aspect, yes. And the military is just a small mirror of the American society. And yeah.
So does that not tie back to what we were mentioning before, that men have become more effeminate and more weak, or is it just that men naturally don't take accountability anyway?
If they're led by somebody that don't make them take accountability, they won't take accountability.
Men or women.
If they're led by somebody that makes them take accountability, they'll take it.
Men or women are being led. What are you talking about? Both?
Both. And I'm talking about from a military aspect of it, which translates to the civilian world too. If you're a strong leader, you're gonna lead that family or lead that flight or that squadron or whatever, or a platoon or whatever the unit is. If you're not a strong leader to hold people accountable, they're not gonna hold themselves accountable. So it comes from the bottom down.
So we're missing accountability. She's saying that this is more of a woman's issue, but you're saying it's an everybody issue in the modern and younger people, right?
Yeah.
Feel it soon.
I won't. I told you, okay? Endorphins don't work on me. And I never promise you a runner's high is...
They want to hurt me. They're out to get me. Anyone that attempts to hold us to a higher standard is toxic and emotionally abusive. You're not my supervisor! The glorification of hyper-selfishness propagandized us into the belief that every last one of us is a 9 or 10.
Ask the ladies to rate themselves on a scale of 1 to 10.
10. Let's say I'm a 10. 10. 10. 10.
Don't you guys think it's a bit delusional to rate yourself as a 10?
Fair use.
So y'all are perfect.
Yep, perfect.
Yeah.
Do you think that the women are just saying that because they want to give themselves why do you think women say that they're 10s all the time?
Yeah, somebody say they're a 10 and that they're not listening to the outside world. True, yeah, you're perfect to yourself. Are you perfect to anybody else?
We say that men are the ones that are prideful, and women constantly say that men have too much pride and to cover up their insecurities. Is this an example of women being insecure and being prideful, or is this just, are we missing something here?
Yeah, well, and there are younger women from a generation I don't understand. So that generation, they're taught something different, and their rating is on a whole different scale. And being accountable, and taking charge, just being a good person. That's not in their 10. Their 10 is driven off of what's on that screen, as we were talking about earlier.
Now you sound like a guy that's in his 50s or 60s. Do you think that women your age, they tend to see themselves as 10s also?
No.
Really?
No, because most of them, if they if they know themselves really and they really know themselves, they know they ain't perfect. They're gonna rate themselves about a 7, 8 maybe.
Okay, so there is some
But
humility.
if I come across somebody label herself that I ask her that stuff, ask her that, and she says I'm a 6 or a 7, I'm gonna go ahead, look at her and bump her up 1 at least because she's honest.
Really?
Stop the cap.
You gonna bump her up? You gonna bump her up?
I'm gonna bump her up 1 because honesty is something
humbleness.
that's honesty and humbleness is something that's lacking.
Okay.
Come on.
Every girl is a 10. I don't.
Every
girl's a
woman's
10.
a 10. Is every guy a 10?
No.
Absolutely not.
Hold. Whoa.
The lie is so pervasive that we not only lie to ourselves, we lie to each other.
You are physically flawless.
Because of all this lying, we only entertain interest from men who are 9s or 10s. But realistically, we're likely only 6s and 7s ourselves.
Is that true, Rob?
That's exactly what I just said.
No, you said something completely different. You said
She said that most likely
older
6s and
women see
7s.
themselves as more accurately than younger women. You said this thing is happening with younger women thinking that they're 10s is a total anomaly, and this is weird. She's saying that all women are believing that their rating is much higher, and they're expecting that also. So I'm confused now.
So what did she say at the end? Realistically, all women are 6s or 7s.
Oh, okay. You're saying based off of that.
Yeah, off of that. Well, most women are 6s and 7s.
But
Really,
do you still
actually,
think those 6s and 7s still expect a perfect man?
where you make up out of that, where you make up with it at a 6 or a 10. Somebody might look at her and say she's a dying 10, but in reality, overall, she's a 6 because her attitude is terrible. So if you looking at outside stuff, anybody can be a 10. But if you look intrinsically and in a person, they're not a 10.
Do you think that a woman over 40 can be a 10?
Yeah.
Do you think most women who are 10s when they were 20 are 10s when they're 40?
You mean looking 10s or total for real 10s?
Yeah.
Which one? Looking or total 10s?
Looking.
Nah.
Interesting.
If a woman in her 20s is a looking 10, unless she got good genetics or she take care of herself, right now in her 40s, she may be a 6, 5, maybe a 5, depending on if she took care of herself. Now she's starting with a good foundation, and maybe she took care of herself, and maybe she did some intrinsic work, and now she's in her 40s. Now she's a true 10.
It's a lot going on, bro. I don't think we're ever going to get to the bottom of all this, but I have some clear ideas. We haven't even got through the other half of this video, but it's been a very cool conversation. Are you getting anything out of this, Rob?
Yeah, I did. Like I said, I'm a little bit under the weather, so I'm a little bit off today.
No, that's all sort of good, man. I appreciate everybody coming out for this little impromptu session that we had, but this is something that's really cool. You know, I think that we can really learn a lot from how people perceive media and things of that nature. I definitely learned a lot, and I'm seeing a lot of the reasons why people aren't dating. It's a bit of a mess out there, and hopefully we can get it together. But I don't have very high expectations, to be honest. We will see. I think that God is doing something very specific with the world right now to include people in the church that are in the dating world. And I think it's more of a punishment than it is a blessing. That's just how God has been revealing it to me. That being the case, guys, thanks for coming out. We really appreciate you for everything you guys do for us. Make sure you like, share, and subscribe the video, and we'll catch you later. Stand by. And here we go. What's your status on the apparatus? I'm Puncho.
Hey, and I'm DK, man. We just want to, invite you, if you don't know Christ as your personal savior, this is an opportunity now. You don't know what tomorrow holds. So we just want to, pray with you and pray for you, that you get to know him as your personal savior.
If you feel compelled by the Holy Spirit to accept Christ as your Savior, I want you to say this prayer. Father, please forgive me of all my sins. I acknowledge and I believe that your son Jesus rose from the dead and that he will return. I also pray that I will dedicate my life to him 100%. He will be my master from now on. I will not be mastered by sin. Father, I also pray that you show me the direction I need to go in my life and to give me a purpose and give me a good church home and make me a part of your program. Make me a part of your body. Help me to make pizza with you, Lord. We pray these things in Jesus' name. Amen.